Hello and welcome to Filmi Ladies. This is part four of our Bollywood for Beginners series. And today we are going to be a little dramatic, which suits both ourselves and the topic.
Yes.
Pitu is doing a grand romance from 2018 that draws on old stories and will be, I think, quite recognizable to people who
Yeah.
don't even come from Indian cultural traditions or have any knowledge thereof. And mine does too, because mine is a sports drama and it follows a lot of the sports drama formula and tick boxes and all that stuff. It's a bit of a chestnut, but I find it a very satisfying one. And it is from 2007. So again, we're hovering a little more recent, but sometimes those films are easier to get, especially with subtitles. So we are excited to bring them to you. For those of you who are new listeners, you may not know that one of Pitu's favorite hobbies is crying. So it is no surprise that she has picked a romantic drama, perhaps even melodrama. We can get into that. Tell us about Laila Majnu.
Okay, so Laila Majnu is basically the Indian subcontinent and the Middle East's Romeo and Juliet. It actually precedes Romeo and Juliet because I think Romeo and Juliet it was originally like from the 14th century and stuff, and then Shakespeare popularized it. Like the Italian sources are like from the 14th century. Laila Majnu is originally Persian, and the original Laila Majnu, who were supposedly real people, were from what it would be, I think, modern day Saudi Arabia. And so it's originally like an Arab legend or story that the Persians adopted, then the Turks adopted it, and then because of the spice route and everything, the Indians adopted it. So it's really that part of the world that is obsessed with it. And when I was doing my little Wikipedia search, I discovered that a Persian scholar listed no less than 40 Persians, 40, and 13 Turkish versions, 1 3, of Laila Majnu. It is basically a really old story of Arab origin about the 7th century Arabian poet Qais bin al-Mulawa and his lover Laila bint Mahdi. And this theme has passed from Arabic to Persian, Turkish, and Indic languages through the narrative poem that was composed in 1188 CE by the Persian poet Nizami Gunjabi. So it's like from the 12th century. So in a nutshell, what is Laila Majnu? It is a star-crossed story. It's about these two people, Qais and Lela, who were from warring tribes, so very Montague Capulet, and they wanted to be together, but they couldn't be together. So there's romance, there's meet cute, there's love, there's grand passion, but then it all ends in heartbreak. So it's very bleak, which works great for me. This is not a positive story. This is not an uplifting story. So if you want a positive and uplifting drama, Beth has got you. But if you really want to be like in the doldrums and you want to be crying your eyes out, then I suggest that you go and get like a big box of Kleenex from Costco, get your favorite alcoholic beverage, and settle down for an emotional roller coaster, which is Laila Majnu. So basically, the 2018 version is much more modern. It's certainly not set in 12th century Arabia. It is actually set in snowy Kashmir, and the actress who plays the girl's character, which is Lela, is Trupti Dimri, and this was her debut film. And the actor Avinash Tiwari, who plays Qais slash Majnu, it was only his second movie, I believe, but he's worked in theater for a long time, and he became known to Indian audiences through TV shows. And then he did one movie that no one's like watched, and then this was his second film. So it's this movie is very emotional, it's very sensitive, it's beautifully done, it's beautifully photographed and cinematographed because it's set and shot in Kashmir. It has these beautiful landscapes and vistas, and those would be, I think, very interesting to perhaps our non-Indian audience, because everyone always thinks of India as like hot and hotter, like we only have 2 seasons, and the monsoon if you're from Mumbai. But we also have the Himalayas, like we're also the land of the Himalayas. We also have Mount Everest in our neighboring nation. So it's like we do get snow. Of course, it's in the extreme north, but we do get it. And so you will get to see the really iconic Kashmir landscapes of like the aspens and the chinar trees, and it's just really, really pretty, and the gorgeous architecture over there, and just kind of get a sense of like some of the Kashmiri culture. The music also has like quite a lot of Kashmiri musical instruments in it. And I would say that the casting of this movie is really good, because for a story that is this epic, I would say the most important thing is to cast an actor and an actress that really have amazing chemistry, because they have got to sell it. You have to believe that these people would live in love and die in love, and, you know, throw themselves in the mouths of wolves for each other. So you can't have anyone that's too vanilla. You can't have anyone. The emo-ness has to be at max level. Um, and so they do bring the emo-ness to a max level, and they look absolutely gorgeous doing it. Trupti Dimri wears really beautiful outfits, and she's so pretty. She's so pretty. And Avinash Tiwari just is like this handsome boy next door, and he has swagger and he's stylish. While Laila Majnu is a typical love story in the sense that they're not from like warring tribes or anything, they're both Kashmiri Muslims, but their families are business rivals. And one family believes that the other family has like tricked them. So there's like some lawsuits happening where like property and business and stuff. But it's basically about these two people whose love is thwarted by their family, and then this is not really a spoiler, but you know, they get separated, and then the aftermath of that. While I will say that this is obviously a love story in the traditional sense of the word, and it's very epic, what I find very interesting about this movie is that I think it's also a very good exploration of mental illness and
Mm.
mental breakdowns, which is something that you don't really see. Like I've seen a lot of the Romeo and Juliet kind of, adaptations and things like that, and also like Laila Majnu type of stuff, but they're always portrayed as emotionally healthy people who just happen to be obsessed with each other. But in this movie, you can tell from the outset that one of the characters is not quite 100% there. They're not, they don't seem particularly mentally ill. Maybe they just come across as a little bit disillusioned. Who among us has not been disillusioned at some time? Perhaps they seem a little too melancholic for their own good. Who among us has not been melancholic? So it's kind of skirts that thing where it's like, is it just their temperament? Is it just their personality? Or is something else afoot? And I think this movie does not quite come out 100% and say that one of these people is perhaps suffering, but there is a catalyzing incident that pushes them over the edge, and that brings the tragedy aspect in it. One thing that I personally feel very passionate about is that if a movie is going to tackle a topic like mental illness of any kind, whether it's depression or anxiety or schizophrenia, whatever, if you're going to tackle it, you got to do it with respect and kindness and empathy, which often is lacking in a lot of cinema. But I do think that the way it's portrayed in this film, it's very kind. And at no point is the character who is suffering seen as someone who is lesser than anybody. They're just suffering from a thing, and they are deserving of our respect and our sympathy and our helping hand. But it's also very hard to watch this person and what they're going through.
Would you
So,
say that's one of the traits that makes this, because there are many, many adaptations of
so
this
many.
film in India. Would you say that that angle is kind of what makes it feel contemporary and
Yeah.
the reason to do it at the time it was made?
Yeah, because I mean, I've seen so many of these versions, right? I've either seen like Laila Majnu versions. Apparently, the oldest Indian adaptation of Laila Majnu is from 1922. It's
Yeah.
a silent film.
Yeah.
It's been made in like so many languages, and that's without even getting into Romeo and Juliet, right? Like
Right.
Romeo and Juliet
Right.
also around the world. So it's not that star-crossed lovers stories are anything new, but I think what makes this movie in some ways relatable is that when you're not one of those, like, I think what happens is when you watch those kind of movies, there's a tendency, at least for me, to other those characters,
Mm.
because I can't imagine going to the lengths that they do. I
Right.
can't, like, there's literally no rational thinking in those movies.
Right.
And so there's an othering that happens. And I think in this movie, it's almost like some of the things that are happening can be explained by certain mindsets and
Mm.
temperaments. And I think that's also what makes it interesting. I think that's what gives Avinash Tiwari, the actor, a real opportunity to dig into. The Film Companion in India, they actually ranked his performance as Majnu as one of their top 100 performances ever
Oh,
in Indian
wow.
cinema. Yeah, and for a complete nobody to do that, like
Yeah.
in his second film to make it to that list, his performance is bravura. So this movie, when it came out, it sank without a trace. They worked on this movie for 3 years. Avinash Tiwari spoke about it in an interview.
Mm.
They worked on it for 3 years. He had been struggling for 15 years to make it, to get his big break. On day 3, the film was such a gigantic flop that posters were being taken down and
Oh.
shows were being canceled. And he remembered thinking, like, my career's over. This is it. Like, this was my big break and it's over. Of
Mhm.
course, the movie eventually gained cult classic status, especially during the pandemic. And I had never heard of this film when it released in 2018 because it was
Mm.
just not marketed well enough and nobody knew who these people were. But I just I think it's just such an unusual, raw movie. And when I actually did see it, because so many people that I respect had told me to watch it, and I was like, oh, fine, I'll watch it. Yet another like Laila Majnu reiteration, whatever.
Right.
I watched it in 3 hours. I was bawling. I loved it. The title song was in my head. And then my husband came home from work. I had the day off. My husband came home from work. He saw me crying and he was like, what's happening? And I was like, oh, I saw the most amazing movie ever. You have to see it now. So he was like, fine. So he's having dinner and watching the movie. And I'm sitting next to him going, like that the whole time and looking at him to see and then he started crying, like he was like
Oh.
tearing up, and I was like, so we were both crying together. So it was like my ideal day. It was a very dehydrating day, but it was wonderful. So I've seen this movie twice in 24
In the
hours
same day. Wow.
in the same day. And so I'm a big fan. I think that it's heartwarming, it's soft, it's sweet, it is bleak, it
Mhm.
is heartbreaking. It points out hypocrisies in society, it takes society on, it asks questions like what is normal and what is not normal, what is love, what is obsession. There's just some really iconic scenes and dialogues in this movie that I don't want to spoil, but they ask questions about like what is religion, for instance, because there's a strong Sufi thread running through this. So it's the brand, the not brand, but like the part of Islam that is like very mystical. So it's that like spiritual, mystical Sufiness as opposed to the more like conservative,
Mm.
orthodox thinking that we encounter more often in, popular culture. Huh?
Is there a koali in it?
I mean, no, but it has like Qawwali-esque elements in it
Okay.
because a lot of those musical instruments are used. But it's so lovely.
And
So anyway,
for people who are new to this, that is a particular musical form from Sufi traditions that you see in particular types of Indian films, and they're not very common anymore. We have a whole
yeah.
episode about Qawwali music, and these are if you like music, I think you will like them. Like they are impossible to sit still for. They're really amazing, and we can point you to giant playlists and things like that, including our
Yeah.
own of film Qawwali, which is a beloved art form that you don't see particularly often
Hmm.
anymore.
I think Qawwalis also came from Persia, if I'm not
I would
mistaken.
think so,
It's
yeah.
definitely one of those things that was like imported and became a part of Indian culture as well. So anyway, I would recommend Lala Majnu for fans of doomed romances, and also if you would like to see a movie that potentially explores some aspects of mental illness in a healthy and respectful way. And the title song is very epic, and I will put the link to it because once you hear the title song, it is going to be an earworm, and you're going to keep singing it all day like me, annoying everyone around. So that is also an added benefit. If you want to be the annoying coworker, go for it. What about you, Beth? I know you picked Chak India.
Yeah, so I've picked Chak De India, a sports drama that follows the Indian national women's field hockey team to a major match. And we won't say much more than that, so as to avoid spoilers. And it is a film that probably wouldn't have had much traction or attention when it first came out, with the exception that its coach is played by megastar of whom we have already spoken, Shah Rukh Khan. And it's kind of hard to think of anyone else in the role, even though sports movies, including this one, can be very formulaic, and sometimes you can kind of think, oh, just put someone with a little bit of gravitas and
Yeah.
twinkle into the coach role and you've got yourself a thing. And maybe that's true, but also he really is phenomenal in this film. We've talked about, I don't think we've done a whole episode on this film, but we've talked about it in passing
Mm-mm.
many times in various settings, including on an episode, I believe, where we talked about men characters that we really enjoy. And the coach in
Yeah.
this film is
He's
fantastic.
such a green flag.
He is. And the context here is that women's sports in India, and this one in particular, are extremely underfunded. Nobody cares. People care about men's cricket, and that's about it.
Yeah.
And you do see some stuff with that because one of our players is dating a men's cricket player. Um,
Ugh, he's so awful.
he is. The women come from different regions of India, so you get a perhaps quite stereotyped, and I should let Pitu comment on that.
It is.
Okay, yeah. So kind of stereotypical regional characteristics are placed. If you are new to India, you may not notice quite the level of stereotyping that's going on,
Yeah.
but just know that that's there. And if you can insert your country and how different regional stereotypes as an American, I could be like, it's like the Texan rolling up in a cowboy hat and saying, "Hi, y'all," you know.
Yeah.
Um, and being really loud and kind of conservative, but having a good heart
Yeah.
underneath it all, right? So it's like,
Yeah. Or like the person from Brooklyn and
right,
yeah.
right. So
Because
we've
you got to have a person from Brooklyn in a sports movie.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So we've all seen movies like this before, but to me, this is probably my favorite sports movie, I would have to say. The fact that it's mostly about women is incredibly lovely because I think one of the things this film does so well is it has the individual players and characters learn and grow and become better people, but they also cohere as a team. And of
Yeah.
course, that is an essential in a sports film that's about a team sport.
Hmm.
They also some of their matches are overseas, so they face some just kind of confusion and negative stereotyping from other countries. So that's really interesting too. So this has whatever you call that version of patriotism going on,
Hmm.
where people, earn and demand and earn respect from others
Hmm.
who have looked down on them. That's very satisfying. And
Hmm.
again, if your country is not as such, you can insert whatever underfunded, under attended thing that you are a part of, like your school or your town or
Yeah.
whatever, to relate to that if you need to. It's an incredibly heartwarming film. It does have some humor in it. It does have some cathartic mild violence in it, and of course the
Yeah.
sport of hockey is not for the dainty. You
No.
see these women flying around the field with big sticks and balls flying around, and it looks fairly terrifying to someone like me. Uh,
Yeah.
and I can't really say enough good things about it. It was written by the same person who wrote the last film that I spoke about, Bantu or Bubbly. So
Right.
sorry about that. I didn't do it on purpose. I just do think this is a great beginner film. And I did take a friend to this who had never seen an Indian film
Okay.
before, but she is someone who cares about, she is an athlete herself. And she was like crying in the theater and really, really loved it. So,
Nice. And I feel like a sports movie is such a good movie to
yeah.
like if you want to give someone like a Bollywood 101,
Yep.
I mean sports movies. Everybody
Yep.
loves them. Everyone loves like in Hollywood, everyone loves Field of Dreams. Everyone loves A
Right.
League of Their Own or Chariots of Fire or whatever.
Yeah.
Like Friday
Yeah.
Night Lights is such a great TV show. Like
Right.
it's a standard boilerplate. So would you say that Chak India is also very I mean, the fact that it's a women's team makes it a little bit different, although we do have that in A League of Their Own
Mhm.
also.
Yep.
Um, how stereotypical do you find Chak De India to
Oh,
be in following that sports movie template?
as someone who does not actively seek out sports
Mm,
movies, so caveat there, I would say fairly
yeah,
stereotypical, I believe, but in a way that is what, like kind of comforting and recognizable and just kind of you're like, ooh, I'm in this groove,
yeah,
It's not there's nothing about this that I think will be hard to get your brain around as someone who is new to Indian cinema or
yeah.
Hindi cinema. Like this is very recognizable in, and if you are happy to watch a sports movie, I think now if you hate sports movies, probably I wouldn't recommend this unless the idea of
Mm,
like the women is of interest to
yeah,
you or something like that, or you'd like to see some of these things played out in cultures other than ones you are
yeah.
already familiar with. This one also has a kind of subplot, which many sports movies do, I think, of the coach who is trying to clear their name.
Yeah.
So our coach was disgraced in his own career, sports career earlier, and so he's trying.
He's the
uh,
comeback kid.
he's a comeback kid, and that's why they were able to get him, is because they knew he's a good athlete and all, but he's,
Hmm.
kind of down on his luck, and no one's heard from him for a while, and he's
Hmm.
unpopular and whatever. So there's vindication kind of happening here as well. And that, so it has the personal journey of the coach as well,
Yeah.
which is cool.
Do you want to talk about why do we love Coach Kabir so much?
Um, why don't you start? Because I know you're ready to do it. Why don't you start? I mean, I can add some things if you don't say what I would say, but yeah, go for it.
Okay, first of all, because I'm a very, very superficial person, he is delicious. The
Yep.
man is fine.
Yep.
He looks so good, especially in those tight polos and the pants and the stubble and the hair, just everything, just his personality and his swagger, just everything,
There's some
right?
full-on movie star happening in this role. Yeah.
Yes, I
Yeah.
would have been so much more interested in sports. I have zero interest in sports, but I would have attempted to be sporty if I had coaches such as this in school and college. I didn't, but I could be encouraged and inspired to learn hockey.
I just want to put something in here. So there is a moment, just so people are assured, there is no coach player hanky panky in this movie at all.
Yeah.
They just let this actor be a dreamboat. They don't do anything about it. There's one moment where a player kind of
Hmm.
pretends to try to seduce him, and he's like, "Get out of here, stop it," whatever. And
Yeah.
so there's nothing like that. No one has a crush on the coach except the audience. So
Yeah.
that's nice. That's really nice.
Yeah, exactly. Because like I think that's one of the worries I had when
Mhm,
I saw this movie for the first
mhm.
time, where it was like, you literally cast the heartthrob of the nation in this, and he looks like $1 million, and there's like a bunch of teenage girlies. Like,
Yeah,
there's going to be some awful, icky, because that's at that point, that's not even going to be a romance or relationship. That's straight up sexual harassment because
right,
of the power dynamic. And I
right.
was like, please, please, please do not go down that route. And they didn't. And I was
They
like,
did.
yes.
It's a big relief.
Yeah. It's also for people who are perhaps getting into Shah Rukh Khan, because I don't know who it was. It was one of our Bollywood blogger friends from like days of yore, 15 years ago, who said to me that Shah Rukh Khan is the gateway drug.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Many
Like you
people
you
say that.
start with Shah Rukh and then you get into Bollywood. He's
Right.
basically, that's how you begin. But I think this was such an unusual role for him to do because it's a little bit off center,
Yeah.
and he's not quite the big mega star, and he's trying to be someone who is much more relatable. And it's just interesting to see him do these kind of films. Like, a lot of people think that Chak the India and Swades are probably his best performances of all time. Would you agree with that statement or no?
Um, this one is up there for me. I haven't seen Swedes in a really long
Mm,
time, so I would need to refresh
mm.
myself. It is not one that stands out to me for him, although I think he's
Okay.
good. But
Yeah.
I say that, and I have a poster of that movie in my living room. It's looking at me right now, but I,
Is it
I'm
the
not that.
poster where he's in a boat, being a dream boat?
Yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah,
it's like,
Mohan Bhargav, the character from Swades, is one
yeah,
of my most
yeah.
favorite, dreamiest
Scientist who
male
helps. Yeah, he's
characters.
pretty great.
He works at NASA. He's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
One of the things that I think is great about Shah Rukh in this film is that, as will surprise no one, there is an inspiring speech from the coach, and it is a thing that you will hear people talk about, the 70 minutes of the match. And
Hmm.
I was kind of looking at the English translation just before coming in here, so people can look that up if they want to. And the basic gist is you go out there and do your best, and no one will ever be able to take away from you these 70 minutes where you played this
Hmm.
extremely important game for yourselves and for your team. And this is
Hmm.
why am I tearing up at this? Like
I know, it's
the
so
F you
sweet.
to everyone who ever doubted you. And again,
Yeah.
quite standard sports movie stuff, I think. But hearing it from this actor to these characters, it's like, and you can tell that he's also thinking about the 70 minutes that have been important in his life.
Hmm.
Um, some of them that maybe he wishes had gone differently or whatever, but this is his 70 minutes as well. So it's a pretty great, rousing, sports
Yeah.
movie speech.
Yeah, it's really sweet. It's a really,
Yeah,
and I love
great
that
film.
both of us brought dramatic films, but yours is positive and
Yeah,
inspiring and will encourage people to go forth and conquer,
yeah,
and then be good teammates to each other. I
yeah.
think
Be good
one of my,
teammates.
yeah, one of my favorite things about this movie is how much squabbling there is at the beginning.
So much squabbling. These women do not get along at all.
And for it's like sometimes their squabbling makes some sense and you're
Yeah,
like, okay, I can, and sometimes it's just the most petty shit,
yeah.
but it's wildly entertaining.
It is. Yeah.
But then when they actually get with the program and they're like, oh, fine, we're a team, whatever, we'll act like
Right.
it.
Right.
It's just really cool. And then when they stick up for each other, there's a scene that
Yeah.
we shouldn't spoil, but there's a scene in a
Right.
McDonald's that is very heartwarming. It's just a
Hmm.
really good film, I think. Did
Hmm.
you know that half of the they're called Chak girls, but
Yeah.
half of the girls were actresses who had to be taught to play hockey for 4 months, and half of the girls were hockey players who had to be taught to act for 4 months.
I'm not surprised to hear it. I did not know that, but that
And the director talked about what an absolute nightmare he was. It was like you had girls that could act but had never held a hockey stick in their life, and
I'm
you had girls who were
sure.
actual. Two of the girls, Chitrashi Rawat and this other girl, were actual state level hockey champions, but they had never
Wow.
acted, and so it was just this 4 month ordeal where these people had to like basically learn a sport and learn an acting skill. So,
It also has one of my favorite English dialogues in any Hindi film ever, which is, which one of them is Dee Dee?
oh,
Which I will explain now. So when the girls are playing an English speaking team from a dominant white country, when they're in the field, of course, Dee Dee in Hindi is referring to your elder sister, and you use
yeah,
it as a term of respect to people older than you sometimes. And
yeah,
so some of the younger players are referring to like the captain of the team or whatever is Dee
right.
Dee. And the coach from this white team is on his headset, like, which one of them is Dee Dee? Like, who are they talking? Who are they going to pass to? But like, haha, he doesn't know enough Hindi to know that. Ha!
Right.
It's cute. It's cute.
You should have gotten lessons from like Tom Utler or something, right?
Right. Right.
So, okay. And then do you like the title song? I love the title song.
Sure. Yeah, very inspiring. I
It's
do.
very inspiring.
Yeah, I love this movie. It's not one I rewatch a whole lot because I feel like I kind of remember the core of it well enough,
Yeah.
but I do really enjoy it. And I will just say, years ago, again, sorry, back in the blog days, there was a group of us, all Americans, I believe, who co-ran a blog about outrageous Bollywood fashion that we saw in
Mm.
costuming. And one of us had a daughter when we were working on that
Oh.
blog, and the rest of us got a Chak poster and we sent it to her with like love from your
Oh.
blog aunties.
Oh, it's so cute.
And I believe that young woman has graduated from high school now. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
That's amazing.
I believe so. And we are all still Facebook friends. We don't talk super often or anything. Of course, blogs are long gone, but that was a fun. We had our own little team, and we sent her that.
That is cute. Can you imagine someone doing like a Chuck Day themed baby shower?
Yes.
That'd be so amazing. And like a cake in the shape of like a hockey
Hockey
field and
field.
like sticks
Mhm,
and everything. That would be amazing.
mhm.
Okay. Did
Yeah,
you
it's just one of
so
those great films for like if you've ever felt that someone hasn't believed in you, this is a very satisfying
yeah.
watch. Yeah.
It's also got like enough sass in it where it's kind of like a big fu to people who don't,
Yeah.
it's like,
But
yeah.
not, but also not in a, this is a very safe film. I want to be clear about
Hmm.
that. So I don't think that there's much super subversive about this. I would love to hear from people who find it subversive, though. I think that would be very fascinating to talk about. I'm very ready to be wrong about that. But I think this is a, you know, it is an FU, but like these are not people who are completely overthrowing the system or anything
Yeah,
like that.
no.
But they are claiming what's theirs
Yeah.
and
They're taking up
keeping,
space.
they're taking up space, they're showing their worth and their talent, and they are getting people to listen to them. And that is no small thing ever. So
Yeah.
I don't want to diminish this movie. I don't want to present this as like this is a social justice warrior,
No.
but in its own small way, it
Yeah.
is, right? So this is a pretty love, and I think that too makes it a good starter film because you
Yeah.
don't have to know the whole Indian system to appreciate the struggles that these people are up against because
Yeah.
we've all seen movies where, you know, whatever group that doesn't get the funding it deserves has talent and they get to show the world, that
Footloose.
foot loose. Which,
Dance,
by the way,
hockey,
is a
same
movie
thing.
I do not understand why Footloose has never been remade in Bollywood. I really don't. It seems right
Oh,
up to the
it needs to,
picking.
right? It's so
Someone
good.
told me though, someone told me on Twitter once, they were like, it's just inconceivable that there would be a town that outlawed dancing in India. That
That's
would not be possible.
true.
And I was like, okay, I feel you, but also like the suspension of disbelief we do in Bollywood is
Yeah.
extreme all the time. So this would be a sticking point, but like, okay.
Right? I want to go watch Footloose now.
Always.
So good. Okay. So I told the viewers that to watch Laila Majnu, they need Costco
Yes.
Kleenex and they also need an alcoholic beverage of some sort. So does your movie require some kind of props for watching or no?
Oh, I would say have a pillow handy that you can like punch when you get annoyed that the women are facing injustice, and then maybe have like popcorn or something that you can go wee when
Okay.
they triumph at various moments. So like stadium snack and then your stadium cushion, I guess.
Okay. At first, when you said to get a pillow, because I watched so much mob stuff and also I watched so many horror
Oh,
movies, I was like, is she saying you're gonna strangle someone? Because that's not wholesome, Beth.
no, no,
Your
no.
movie is too
No, no,
wholesome
no.
for that.
I think, or
Okay.
just watch it with a friend who's like, "Ugh," you can be like in the arm, not too hard, but you know,
Yeah,
you
and
might
if
need to
y'all run
vent a
out
bit.
of yeah, but if y'all run out of Kleenex, my people have gotten the Costco Kleenex, so we can share some because they might tear up and chuck the India
You
as
also
well.
might be ready to do the wave.
Yeah.
Oh, also, I just need to tell one more story that I have told before, and I
Okay.
apologize to regular listeners. So some of the filming was done in Australia, and some of our Australian blog
Oh
friends
yeah.
were in a dance troupe, a Bollywood dance troupe that came out on the field to
And
entertain
dance.
spectators in between breaks in the filming, and Shah Rukh Khan came out and danced with them at one
So
point, which
amazing.
is like the best thing you can possibly imagine, and like what a good sport.
I want to write a script where someone, i.e., me, doesn't know how to dance, but they infiltrate a
Ah.
dance like group because
Mhm.
they're going to perform for Shah Rukh Khan, and they don't know
Mm.
any of the choreography, and they have to like steal the outfit and lock someone up in a locker, and then they have to go out there to dance on the field just because it's their opportunity to dance with Shah Rukh. I think that could be like a very cool but also very meta story.
Mm.
Yeah. I will give you the part of the security guard that has to tackle me because I'm the imposter.
I want to be someone like a production manager who's over on the side with a clipboard and the headphones and like,
Yeah.
who are they? Are they scheduled to be here right now?
You can be like, who is Pitu? Who is Pitu? It'll
Right.
be like the DD dialogue.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that concludes this episode. So go ahead and watch Check the India and Laila Majnu. Um,
Oh, and sorry,
I
where is Laila Majnu streaming? Did you happen to notice where
Yes,
it's available?
Laila Majnu is on Netflix.
Okay.
And then the song O Meri Laila, if you want to watch the full video just to get a taste of what you're in for,
Or
that's on YouTube. So we can put the links down there. And then Check the Area, I think, is on Amazon Prime.
I believe that is correct based on what I'm
Yeah.
seeing. You can also rent it on YouTube for like $2.
Yes.
So do that if you are not a Prime member.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for watching. And we will see you next week in another episode of Bollywood for Beginners. Bye.